Hi everyone. I'm continuing on with the characteristics of verbal abuse. This is from the book The Verbally Abusive Relationship by Patricia Evans, and this is in chapter 8. I believe we left off on number 9. The verbal abuse expresses a double message. There is an incongruence between the way the abuser speaks and his real feelings. For example, he may sound very sincere and honest while he's telling his partner what is wrong with her, or he may say, "I'm not mad," while sounding very angry. Or he may, for example, invite her out to dinner and then during dinner maintain an attitude of aloof, cold indifference. Um, then she lists some examples of things that some of the verbal abusers' partners say that they've been told by their abuser. Um, he tells me he loves me, and he tells me he can say anything he wants. I definitely got that one, especially after I left. Of course, all about how much he loves me and wanted me back. And he really didn't mean to hurt me. That when he had all these explosions and he was insulting me and yelling at me, he really did think that because we were best friends and we were married and we were so close that he could say whatever he wanted and then everything would be okay after the fight. And I knew this was bullshit because anytime we argued, if I ever insulted him the way that he insulted me, I mean, there is no way he would have put up with that. No way. But it was perfectly okay for him to do that to me. Next on the list, he says he's accepting of everyone, but he criticizes me and won't accept my views or feelings. This I got a lot too, and it kind of unfolded over the years. Like when we were dating, I can remember times where I expressed an opinion and then he claimed that I was being closed-minded and judgmental from my opinion that I should be more open-minded. And in the end, like he was the closed-minded one. Like anytime I had a difference of opinion or even just expressed a thought, he was automatically on me, putting me down, insulting me, whatever it was that we were talking about. My opinion was crap, basically. He says he's relaxed and easygoing, but he's angry and irritable every day. Can definitely attest to that one. Um, and my narc is the kind, he is like, lots of people think he's a real swell guy. He can be really charming and really funny and seem really friendly and outgoing and loves talking to people. And behind closed doors, when you live with him and you're one of his nearest and dearest, let me tell you, it ain't no picnic. He says he's supportive of me, but I feel isolated and lonely with him. Definitely true in my situation. Yes, I was very lonely indeed. And that's ultimately what pushed me out the door. I just couldn't take it anymore. I felt like I was the only adult in the house, first of all, because I was taking care of everything with running the household and taking care of the kids, and or at the very least 90% of it. And if I tried to like talk to him about something I wanted to talk about, even if, and I'm not just talking about casual chit chat, I'm talking about like something serious going on with the kids, an issue with the kids or the house. He did not want to hear it. I mean, he would literally put his hand up and say to me, "I don't feel like listening to this right now." And then when the king would decide that it was okay to, for me to speak to him about whatever issue. He would often hurry me and not let me finish and talk over me, interrupt me. That was a big thing with him. But oh, don't you dare interrupt him ever. Okay, number 10. Verbal abuse usually escalates, increasing in intensity, frequency, and variety. For example, early in the relationship, the verbal abuser may abuse his partner with put downs disguised as jokes and with withholding. Yes, definitely. Both true in my case, early in the relationship. Gradually, other forms of verbal abuse are added. These forms are described below as the categories of verbal abuse. Okay. Then she mentions, in many cases, verbal abuse escalates into physical abuse, which may also begin subtly as accidental shoves, pushes, bumps, etc., which then escalate into overt physical battering. We did not get to the point of physical abuse, thank goodness. I think I got out before it escalated to that point. I definitely saw some red flags in his behavior over the years that indicated that he has the potential to become physically abusive. I don't think that, I'm not saying that he definitely would have. I really wasn't sure, but I didn't want to take the chance. I saw some red flag behaviors and I was becoming really concerned because things were escalating and I was afraid they were going to keep escalating till we got to that point. Then she goes on to talk a little more about escalation, how things transition from verbal to physical abuse. The abuser may start subtly by invading the victim's space. Believe she mentioned, we just mentioned about the accidental, quote unquote, accidental pushes and shoves or bumping into you. One partner that the author treated in therapy said that whenever she was settled in a chair and left the room for a moment, when she returned, her mate had taken her chair. And she said it didn't matter which chair she had been in, he always refused to give it back. Later, she noticed that he started stepping in front of her when she was approaching the refrigerator or the sink. Noting this transition from verbal to physical abuse is important because the clinical experience of therapists who treat battered women provides evidence that all battered women started out being verbally abused. So basically, then she goes on to describe the power over mentality. They feel more powerful over the victim by putting them down. And being just in general, just a mentally abusive jerk. It prevents real relationships. That the partner of an abuser may live under the illusion that she has a real relationship. She may do so for a number of reasons, an important one being that as a couple, she and the abuser may function adequately in their respective roles. Verbal abusers generally experience many of their feelings as anger. I definitely noticed a lot of this in my ex. If he was unsure, if he was anxious, any kind of negative emotion, grief, sadness, nervousness, embarrassment, it would come out as anger. He would feel the need to explode at someone if he was having some sort of uncomfortable, negative, or anxious feeling. She then moves on to the verbal abuser consciously or unconsciously sees his partner as an enemy or certainly as a threat who must be controlled. So it's instead of a dynamic in a relationship of we're a team and we're going to work together in harmony, it becomes a rival situation where consciously or unconsciously, she says he sees his partner as an enemy, a threat who must be controlled. Consequently, the verbal abuser may wage a kind of war with his words, usually unbeknown to and not understood by his partner. His words are his weapons, and these weapons are the categories of verbal abuse. Okay, here are the categories or the different tactics used by verbal abusers. Um, so I'm just going to go through this list, and then I'm going to break them down in separate videos. Categories of verbal abuse. There are 15 of them. Number 1, withholding. Number 2, countering. Number 3, discounting. Number 4, verbal abuse disguised as jokes. Number 5, blocking and diverting. Number 6, accusing and blaming. Number 7, judging and criticizing. Number 8, trivializing. Number 9, undermining. Number 10, threatening. Number 11, name calling. Number 12, forgetting. Number 13, ordering. Number 14, denial. And number 15, abusive anger. So I'm going to stop this video at this point, and I'll address each of the 15 categories of verbal abuse in separate videos. Thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.